Hello and welcome, this is Simon. I'm the designer of the conflict simulation Die Seehunde, and today I would like to show you a playthrough of the game. We are going to play the game digitally with Vassal. So basically what we are going to do first is starting a new game as Offizier der Kleinkampfmittel. Die Seehunde is a pure solitaire game, a war game about midget submarines in World War II, German midget submarines. And what we do first, we will start a campaign, and for this campaign we have to commit to a start date. There are 3 start dates in the game. The first would be December 1944. Which was the historic correct start of the Seehund operations in the North Sea. Then we have the start in February, and then we have the start in March. For this example, we will start in February. This will be a medium-length campaign, with all campaigns ending by the end of May. And what we will do now, we will refer to the rules and see how the setup is for this campaign. So by the rules you would circle this starting spot in your calendar, but as we cannot circle in this document, we will just put a cross on the day before. And then what we will do next is we will apply upgrades. For this February campaign we have a range of starting upgrades for our submarine, and for February this will be the size periscope. Then we have the cord nozzle, and we have the saddle tanks. There they are. Then we will roll for 2 advances for the enemy forces. Advances basically are upgrades to the enemy which will make the game harder for you. Let's go here. We will roll 2 d10s. And we have 1 and a 7. And 1 will be nervous convoy. And 7 will be Zerstörer deployment. So what this does, to know what this does, you have to refer to the rules. Nervous convoy basically adds additional cards to the convoy deck. So we will do this on the tactical map and add these cards to the pile. And then for Zerstörer deployment, we will add this advanced Zerstörer token to the Zerstörer pool over there. On a side note, I will only be able to record an hour, so I excuse myself, or I excuse me in general, that I will not show, that I may not be able to show a complete playthrough of the game. Next thing we will have to choose is if we want to play the landlubber game, which will give us a additional upgrade. I don't think so that we want to take this. Then we will note starting VP. As you may have noticed, we are starting with a certain threshold surpassed on the review days. Basically the review days are Sundays on the calendar where your success will be reviewed by your superiors, and if you don't possess a certain amount of victory points, you will be relieved from your command. So what we have to do here is to mark 6 starting VP here. Whoop. Caps lock. Start VP. And what we do next is we have to apply a name, and we will call our Seehund Wotan. Then we have the commandant, we call him Florentin. And we have a light engineer, which is called Lars. So Florentin and Lars will be the crew of our midget submarine. And with this we have basically finished the setup, or not at all. We still have to apply two other starting conditions, which are a roll for weather. And we roll 1d6. We start at February, so we only add +1. But a 6 + 1 is still a 6, so we have very bad weather. And we will roll 1d10 for wind. So 7. And the wind blows into the northwest. Okay. Additionally, in the normal game, if you would have printed this sheet out, you would be able to also apply camouflage to this submarine illustration, which will earn you your first pride point to modify your proud deck, boot deck, excuse me. But we have to skip this because I'm not able to draw here. And with this we are ready to go. We are set it up our campaign sheet, and now we are able to access the campaign phase. So the Seehunde is divided into 3 phases, which are basically different games that are connected to each other. With the first one being the campaign game, or the campaign phase, like I said. And in the campaign phase, you're able to spend days on your calendar to do certain actions. And these actions can be, for example, a rest. Rest lets you get cards from your mood deck back, which were trashed previously in previous sorties. And you can as well wait for better weather, which is a thing that we actually want to do now, because right now we have a rainstorm, and if we start our sortie in the rainstorm, if we have an encounter, this encounter will not happen. So thing is that it basically cancels all encounters, so we will not be able to find a convoy, for example. This is also a benefit in that also enemy airplanes will not be able to spot and attack us. But yeah, for now we would like to change that. So what we do is we spend 1 day, this is the first day that we spent, to observe the weather. And how this works is that we will go back to the screen, and we will draw 3 supply cards. So the supply cards are basically the events. The events are printed on the back side, but they have also weather modifications on the lower left. And for this action we will draw 3 cards and apply all weather changing effects. And we don't have any. Okay, so that's bad. And with this we will spend our second day also waiting for better weather. Here. And draw additional 3 cards, and here we have a change of weather. So what happens now is we go to the main screen over here, and the weather will change clockwise, which is not actually better because we are going from a rainstorm to a simple storm, which has the same effects. How this reset works is that we have 3 states of weather. We have the bordered clouds, the white clouds, which indicates clear weather, weather with normal visibility. Then we have the bordered black clouds, which indicate poor visibility, and then we have the solid clouds, which indicate really bad weather. Okay, how many cards? cards did we draw yet? We have 4, 5, that's the 6th card, and we have a change in wind. And the wind is changed here clockwise. So now the wind is blowing the north. So now we have a situation where we will probably be getting pushed into the north. So we have to keep an eye out to stay south with our submarine. And we have the next situation now that we have to set sail, because the next day, if we actually would spend this day, the review would happen, and the goal for the review is 8 victory points, and we right now have only 6. So right now we can do nothing else but set sail. So let me skip to this procedure. We will prepare the supply deck first. This we will discard, reset to unused. We will reset all supply cards, and then we will draw 24 cards, because we possess settle tank upgrade. The supply cards represent your fuel in general, but also other stuff like compressed air and oxygen and so far and so forth, and also food, cigarettes, all this stuff that you need at sea to survive. And then we will prepare the mood deck. We did not touch it, so it's not necessary to prepare. And then we will draw objectives, and how the objectives work is that you always have a primary objective. This is for the first part of the game always the same, that you have to divert the enemy. So the objective right now is to either provoke a reaction in a convoy encounter or sink a vessel. And then we will also draw 2 random secondary objectives, which are both bad, really bad. So this will probably not happen, so we will discard that. The thing is, for each objective that we don't succeed in, we will lose 1 victory point, and we really don't want to lose any. Okay, so basically it's all or nothing. This is tanker Jagd over here. It's basically a tanker hunt. The newer revision of this cards also has the English text. Okay, so yeah, sink immersion. It could be possible. So our target for today basically will be to sink at least 1 ship, a tanker if possible, to earn some victory points. But yeah, it's also looking pretty dire for us, so this is really a random, hard first mission. Okay. So what we do next is that we skip into the sortie phase. And the sortie phase is the second game, or the second phase of the Seehunde, which is placed on the strategic map, which shows the British and the Dutch coast, as well as the Belgian and the French coast. We have Dunkirk over here, the fortress Dunkirk, the Scheldt-Maus, the Thames Maus, and the Great Yarmouth city. And we start in the Hex of Imuiden over here, which was the base of operations for the German Kleinkampfmittel. And what we do now, we will spend supply cards to take actions. And like I said before, we will be, when there's a weather event, we will be pushed to the north, so we want to stay south if possible. So what we do first is we will move over here, spend 1 supply, and reveal its effect. And what we have here is a Landungskonvoi, a landing convoy, or if we were in a danger zone, it would be a minefield. But right now we are in a blue zone, a friendly zone that is still controlled by German forces, so nothing happens. So for the second action we will move further south, I guess, over here. It's a coastal convoy, basically the smallest sort of convoy that you can encounter. But what we actually have here is now that we have a Kanonenboot, a motor gunboat encounter. But again, due to the bad weather that we have, we will not encounter this motor gunboat, so good for us. These are basically escape encounters where you cannot score any hits because motor gunboats were so small that they were practically invulnerable for the Seehund's torpedoes. So again, gets discarded. And we will go further south. Oh, let's go over here. Oh, that's pretty nice. This is one of the positive cards in the game, but also an encounter. So you cannot have any encounters, but I want to introduce you to this card. Keeps this card until the end of the sortie. The next time the weather is changing, you may discard this card to change the weather in a direction of your choice. So this would actually allow us to manipulate the weather a little, but again, due to its card type being an encounter, we will not have this encounter. Well, for the next move we will move into the convoy zone. Again, weather is still bad. And we have a change in wind direction. How this works is now, before the wind actually changes, we get pushed into the current wind direction, and then the wind changes. But first things first, we have a malfunction. So what I will do now is draw a card, and we have a dive sail damage. It's not too bad, but we may want to repair this one. Over here. So now we will get pushed into the last wind direction, then the wind changes into clockwise direction, and we discard. So we still have 20 supply, which is plenty, and now I can show you how repair in the game works. You can only repair in the sortie phase, and of course if you are in the campaign phase, damage can also be almost automatically being repaired by your ground crew. But what we do now, we will commit to a number of cards to draw, and this is the target for this test. So we have to go 5 or above. This card deck here consists of, let me see, no, wrong. Of cards from 2 to 5, with 4 of each card. So I would say we commit to draw 3 cards to be on the safe side, because for each card we commit to, we will lose 1 supply, basically spend time wasting supply to repair. If we don't get 5 or more, the supply and also the mood cards will be wasted. So okay, we commit to 3, draw 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're way above with 10. It's okay. Discard. So this damage is now repaired. No more damage in the dive cell system. That's good. What we have to do next is, because we drew 3 cards, we will now discard 3 supply. So one of my testers already asked, why don't you conclude an event if you repair? And the reason why is, normally Seehund crews would submerge or set their submarine to the ocean floor to perform repairs. So we don't track the actual depth of the sea. So we would so we don't simulate this. So we would say that of course the crew would always try to go into shallow waters before they would ground their submarine to repair. So that's that. Okay, next move we will again try to 70 cards. Okay, go south. Next time the wind will change, we will be pushed into this direction. So we have to keep this in mind, but I'll still go down here to this. And this is one of the friendly encounters. This would be a Räumboot, a R-boat, how they were called, a minesweeper, which we would only encounter in the blue zones, in the friendly zones, so this is not happening here. And what we want to do now, we don't want to move any further. We also don't have a patrol objective. So what we'll do now is just patrol, which is also an action. It's very similar to the move action, but instead of actually moving to an adjacent space, you just stay there and resolve an event. That's it. Okay. What we have now here is a personal emergency. So historically, the crew were fed a diet which allowed them to, how do I say it? Do not have to use the bathroom often in the submarine, because you could imagine in a midget submarine you cannot visit the toilet, because there is no toilet. But right now we have the case where you have to go to the toilet anyway. And what we check now is we check if our personal or the waste jar is undamaged. And right now it is. We don't have a damage card, so we will make a check against the sum of all supply cards in our discard. A stamina check actually. And we have 8 plus this card, so 9. And now we have to commit to a number of cards again. This time the number of cards we can commit to is basically unlimited, so we can draw as much cards as we like. But the mood which we are dealing with here is also a resource, so we only want to draw as much cards as necessary. So how much was it again? 9. Okay, so 9. Let's say we commit to draw 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, that's really bad. So what happened now? First, the check fails. So if you fail, or if your waste jar is damaged, draw 3 mood cards and trash the highest. Discard the others. So you could imagine what happens if your operation of going to the toilet on a midget submarine without the toilet fails. So what we do first is we draw 3 cards, trash the highest. Those cards get discarded, as well as the cards from the test. And what we have now is that this card, the panicky card, which we just drew, gets also pushed into the discard. And this also triggers the discarding of a card from the mood deck. Discard specific card, draw specific cards, and this would be the highest card, the calm card. And after this, all cards get reshuffled. So you see, this is how the mood deck decreases. It can be by events, either by events or by the panicky card if it gets moved into the mood discard. So with this we resolved this card. We have still 15 cards. We would need 1, 2, 3, 4 to get home at best. So we would just keep going. And we have a weather change, and this is pretty good now. But first, before the weather changes, we have a killing time event. This is basically a discussion between you, the commandant, and your LE, the lieutenant engineer, the chief engineer. So what we have now, we have to resolve a social check against the sum of all supply cards in your discard. So we have 10 now. And we commit again to draw 4, 3, 4, and this time we succeed. So nothing happens, but again this card gets discarded now, together with the other cards. The highest card is trashed, which is 5. And we will discard and shuffle this card into deck again. So, but now the weather changes. This is what we have waited for. We will go to the player board over here and move the weather clockwise, and now we have clear weather again. So the weather changed from stormy to clear, and now we can actually start to hunt. We will stay here and keep on patrolling, and now we will draw our next card. Okay, so we have again a social event. It's time for 11. We'll say 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we succeed. Discard. And the weather changes again into the opposite direction, which is really bad. Plop. I know this is kind of a bad example, because the weather changes back and forth, but keep in mind that this game is completely randomly generated. I did not set up anything to show you the best case, but to show you actually a representation of the game, what could happen. Okay, we'll stay here. Still have 13 supply. And yes, now come all the same cards. We have 7 of this into the deck, and yeah, we have to resolve this again. So right now our crew really becomes boring and starts to argue about stupid stuff. We're testing for 12 now, and I would say we draw 4 cards again. And as you can see now, the mood really decreases fast. What did I say? 12. I should have drawn 5. Trash the highest. Okay. Yeah, we will have this 4. And then because of the 0, we will also discard this 4. Discard. Yeah, no 5s. Okay. And as you can see, the mood deck is already depleting pretty fast. Only have 12 cards left and already 5 into our trash. And the weather is again changing. And it starts to rain over here. Oh, damn it. $12 left. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, we have a convoy encounter, but again the weather is bad. Let's discard it. And we again have a weather change. Right now the weather is really changing back and forth. But first we have a social event again. This time we will commit to draw 5 cards. 6, 11, 14, 1, yeah, exactly enough. So what we have now, we have a situation where we really have to consider if we can still actually survive an engagement with so many cards already lost, because these cards are also used for paying for actions in the encounter phase. So yeah, looking not so good. Which card have we already lost? We have lost 2 5s and still have 2 5s. Okay. And the weather changes clockwise. If you're wondering, now that the weather is basically changing back and forth, we have a double amount of cards that change the weather clockwise and counterclockwise. 10 cards left. Still keeping on patrolling. Nope. And here we have another weather change. We'll commit to draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 8, 12, 14. 14 to 16. Oh, really bad. Really bad. Which means that we have to discard highest card over here. Then, due to the 0, we will lose the second card too. Discard and shuffle. Yeah, we have our best 7 cards already out of the game and still 10 bad cards. But now we have again a change clockwise, clear weather again, and can now make a last patrol attempt before we will try to return home. Well, this is a good card. It basically lets you repair a damaged card anytime. We'll keep this. And we have an airstrike. Okay, so now I can show you the encounter phase. This event is mandatory. Other convoy events, encounters will say that you may enter the encounter phase, but with this you actually have to enter. So what we do now is we will go to the tactical map. This here open the map, and we will now build a pool of Flugzeug and A Geist aircraft. A standing for aircraft. So Flugzeug, center pool, and Möwe are actually the A-Geists. That's a little wrong description over here, I should change this. And set up 3 random A's on position 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3. So this is escape encounters. We have a simplified setup. For the convoy encounters you would have randomly rolled starting positions to build a convoy over here, but due to the fact that you're not able to actually attack the aircraft, because you know there are only aircraft, the position is not really necessary, so we just put them in line over here. And then we set up our Hund or Seehund at position Caesar, which is over here. And we will roll for the convoy drift direction, or the countercourse direction. Now we will draw roll 1d6, 5. So we will automatically be moving into this direction. And now we can set our starting direction into the very same direction to try to escape over here before the convoy sees us. Okay, and with this we can start the tactical game. This will hopefully be a really short encounter because we don't want to get bombed by aircraft. And yeah, what we want to do is let's look over here. We always start surfaced, and we now want to dive once, periscope depth. Excuse me, we have to also set the start AP. So we have a number of escorts, also counting aircraft, -1, which is 2. and we will add now 3 for the dive action. 1, 2, 3. And we will actually try to dive once more. 1, 2, 3. So, with this we will end this first turn. And now we will draw 3 cards because we ended at depth deep. 1, 2, 3. We have a 9, negating all 8 points to 0, which is good. And what we'll do now is, instead of a full convoy phase where you would normally draw these cards, we take this number and divide it by 2 and round it down, so 1, so we get moved 1 point over there. So this was the first round, not much happening. We also did not move, but we're now in a little safer position from the aircraft, so looks like they have not seen us yet. And we have now 3 minus 2 is 1. And what we'll do now is we just move a few steps. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because we're at this steps, the move action will cost 2 AP each hex. So, we will now draw 3 cards again. 0, 3, 2. Oh, very lucky of us. Getting all points again. Oh, loses 3 now. Okay. Discard. And again we will be moved 1 step to this direction. So we cannot move voluntarily out of the map. We have to get moved. So for starting AP we right now start at 0. We will only move 2 spaces. Ending with 4. Drawing 3 cards. Yes, looking good. Discard. And we will getting moved out of the map and ending this encounter. Now this ended pretty good for us, mostly because of this direction, which was really lucky. If you would have had a 3, the movement of the hunting group would have moved us towards their center and make the position much more difficulty. But this was very lucky for us. So. Okay, we have 6 cards, we should start moving back again. Oh, now we have a weather card, and again we are lucky because we have fair weather right now, there is no effect. Now we will move, let's say over here. This does not apply, but the wind does apply. We're getting moved over here. This moves into the clockwise direction. And then with our last move we will end up over here. And this has a permanent event which will be resolved instead of the event that is printed, and this is basically that you can end your sortie over here. And with this we end this game. The sortie phase, to be exact. So, as there was not very much happening, I would say we will simulate a yeah, let's use this. We simulate another encounter, and this time with a coastal convoy, just to show you a little bit more of the mechanics of the game. We have now the let me return those. Can I return? Return to stack. We build a pool out of here. Dampfer, Länder, and M-Geist. Dampfer, Länder, M-Geist. Then we have 5 of them randomly set up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Two. 18. 18 again, so it's 19. 9 at 1. Then we have Schlepper and Corvettes. Of course, E-Geists. And we have 3 of those. 1, 2, 3. 3. 1 to the 6. 13. And 19, which is already occupied, so it gets put onto the 20. And then we will start at position Anton. Now we roll once for the countercourse direction, which is 4. Okay, so we have to move north. Then we will draw 6 cards. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And yeah, this will be our random setup convoy, which we can now observe and hunt. And we can start at surfaced. And we start in the most outest band, almost outest band, which is a number of escorts minus 3, which in this case is 3 minus 3 is 0, so good for us. And we will just make 1, 2, 3, move over here, and then 1, 2, 3, go to periscope depth. Now we will draw 2 cards. 1, 2, 5, and we will negate not all, but 1. Discard, discard. And what now happens is that we triggered this reaction trigger over here, and this will make the furthest escort react to us, and it will intercept us. And it is a Schlepper, basically a trawler. But it will not attack right now, because there was not an attack triggered. This was the convoy reaction, and now the escort reaction. Now we have the convoy reaction, and we have 2 moves. So what now happens is we will draw the first 2 cards, and we have a zigzag full ahead 2, which is a advance over here. It's one of the cards that were added to the deck. It's clockwise, so clockwise is over here, so we will be getting moved 2 steps into this direction, which is not the worst right now. And then the second card. is clockwise again, half ahead, 1. Okay, interesting. So what happened here is that the Schlepper also has a side radius. This is the first number, and if we would have been in this circle at the beginning of the round, then we would have added 5 points as a start AP. But as we're further away right now, we will add a number of escorts -1, which is 2. And so we can proceed. So we know now that there are 2 of those cards, and actually what I want to do, I want to keep this card over here. So I want to observe the convoy. Yeah, we had the upgrade, forgot it, grid overlays. So we want to use the observe action, which is tactical range +1. Tactical range is 2, +1 is 3. 1, 2, 3. And now we add a observed token to this card. And we will see what happens with this card, I guess. And we don't want to move any further right now. No. We'll stay over there. So, again we will draw 2 cards. 3 and 0. 1, 2, 3. Highest card is 4. Guess this is the last 4 that we have in the deck. And again we trigger a reaction. Furthest away should be this one. Flip. And we have a Geist. That's actually good. Turn to stack. And then the convoy will move again 2 steps. First card. Flip. Okay, it does not move at all. It's good. And second card. Oh yeah, zigzag clockwise again. So we will get it moved over here. So now happens we have 6 or more shuffle numbers. Sum of the shuffle numbers is 6 or more. And what happens now is that all cards get moved back to the shuffle pile, except for this card that we have observed, which get moved into the first position. Good for us. So, so we know that a lot of cards will move stuff into this direction, which also applies to our torpedoes. Okay. So what we want to do now, we have to position ourselves a little bit more over here, because we don't want to be our course parallel to the convoy, because then our torpedoes would not hit. So what we will do is that we will move start IP. Excuse me, start at 1. We will move once, and due to the cord nozzle that we have, we can now turn counterclockwise, and cost 2 AP. We'll move another step over here, and turn again. Draw 2 cards. Just 6, still good. and the convoy moves. First card will be this, so half ahead clockwise here, move there. Second card is this again, okay. So now we are already really close. We have to move twice to get into position, and then we may be able to set up a torpedo right over here. Okay, so what we'll do now is... oh, yeah, we are right now into tactical range 0, which will add 5 AP. So what this simulates is that we are that close to the convoy that even the merchant ships are able to see us or to hear us right now. Or see our periscope actually, at periscope depths. So what we want to do now is we move once again, turn clockwise, and one more time. Oops. Turn clockwise. And now we can set up our torpedo. So we have not observed any of these, but chances are pretty good that the next card will be again a zigzag counterclockwise card. So we will launch one of our torpedoes, 1, 2, 3, and set it the intercept course right here. That's what we do. So we will draw 2 cards. This time we will commit to use 2 paravetine cards instead of drawing any cards, which will reduce our stack to 0 again. Discard, discard. And what happens now is we will draw 1 card, flip, and like, that's really lucky, like estimated, we really draw a zigzag clockwise card. And this one gets moved over here. This gets moved over here. We did not set the torpedo timer and also forgot to check for malfunction for the torpedo, but in this case it's just nice to see how the system works, even though it's at really close combat right now. So the timer would have been at 1 because the estimated rendezvous point is always the range from the submarine to the hex, the number of hexes, and then divided by 3, rounded up. So 1 divided by 3 is 1. So what now happens is this timer turns down to 0, and you check if the torpedo is on the same hex as ship. If it is, you flip it, and it's a lander. Wow. And now you check the course, and right now we have the counter-clockwise course. So the direction is this, and the torpedo goes into this direction, so we actually hit. Nice. Yeah. Which earns us our first victory points. 1, 2, 3. But as well, if we would have really encountered this instead of just simulating it, we also would have earned this objective. So we're almost at 1 hour now, and I would say we close it for today. I hope this demonstration gave you a little insight of this game, and if you're interested into the game, we are still looking for playtesters. just comment or drop me a private message or whatever. You can also find me on BoardGameGeek. And yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye.